That's Deep Purple. Asked him how the Purple reunion seems to have worked out.
I find it difficult to put this into words. We were so nervous before it all started. See, the recording side was not really a problem. I mean, we knew, we'd all been in studios years and years, professional musicians. Crunch was going to come when we went on stage. Whether, in fact, we could still interact as musicians, whether, in fact, we could still improvise to the extent that we were inspiring each other, whether, in fact, there was still that element of danger lurking just beneath the surface, which there always was, which is the sort of magic ingredient. That was the first thing. And secondly, whether, in fact, it was accepted by the audience. And I think after, 2 or 3 nights, we knew it was going to be okay.
So it worked that soon at the beginning, then?
Yeah, in Australia, yeah. It started in Australia last November.
What is it, then? What's the special thing that creates the spark, that makes it so special on stage?
I think the fact that, I don't want to make a meal out of this, but we all take a great deal of pride and joy in our music. We're very diverse characters. We come from similar backgrounds socially, but different backgrounds musically. I mean, blues, rock and roll, classical, folk, Roger, the stinking hippie, you know, there's that element. All of those little elements are very important. So it was natural, I think, for a lot of forceful behaviour, a lot of, I wouldn't call it antagonism or anything else, a lot of debate and a lot of pursing of lips and saying, well, no, I don't like that, I want to go this way and I want to go that way. And I think the best way you can describe Purple as it was as a sort of Catherine wheel to start with. Everyone was really firing their jets and it was going in a very fine circle. And as time went on, with all the problems involved, one jet burnt out and the thing went out of kilter. You know, it became a little eccentric and there was antagonism crept in, lack of understanding, lack of, I must say, although it may sound unkind, but we had very good business management in those days, but there was a great lack of personal consideration for the individuals in the band, their personal feelings. It was treated, we were like chattels, and I think that was really the key to the whole problem, why we got on each other's nerves and why things came to a head as much as they did. So
this time around you're approaching it better on the personal level in terms of business as well?
Yes, I think those problems have been preempted because we now have hopefully the ability, through dealing with our own bands. We've all had our own bands, the Gillan Band and White Snake and Rainbow and all the other individual bands over the years. I think we all realise now, with all the what we've been through, that actually Deep Purple was a lot easier than any of those bands. Although they were all as much fun, we all had lots of good fun and everything else, but there is just that one little thing about Purple that if we can get into the right frame of mind, then it works.
You've just completed, or you're sort of completing, most of a world tour. What are the highlights of that world tour so far? Is it difficult, or does it just turn into a blur, or what?
No, it's not a blur. Have you got 7 hours?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, the humour. The humour is incredible. We sit and talk and laugh every night. We play football 3-4 times a week. Most of us ski, most of us scuba dive. We do a lot of sports. So there's a lot of extra-curricular activity. Music, we don't talk about that much. We enjoy each other's company as men, and we enjoy each other's music. We come on stage every night, and there's never a night goes by without one of the guys going up to somebody else and saying, "Wow, you played great tonight," you know. We respect each other's abilities, and I can't, if you want any anecdotes, then I think probably I'm ill prepared for it. And probably 99% of them are not repeatable on the air.
All right. I'll let you off. When the reunion was mooted, did you have any hesitation at all about coming in?
No, it was my idea.
Ah, well, that's a good thing. How did the idea come to you?
It'd been with me for some years before. I'd approached them on 2 or 3 occasions.
It had been rumoured so many times, you know.
Yeah. I mean, none of the rumours that came out through the press medium or through the general media were actually based on any solid foundation at all.
Wishful thinking more than anything, then. There.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think over the years that Purple became a legend greater than the band was itself in '73. But it was always important to me to try and get it together again one day. So I tried over 2 or 3 years, and eventually it happened. And it was such a relief. I mean, I had so many ideas about the way it was going to go and what it was going to do and everything else, and suddenly realized when we all got together in the United States and started rehearsing that, in fact, the idea of getting it together was one thing. The idea of determining which course it was going to take was another thing altogether. And I then remembered how strong all the individuals were in the band, and that was the strength of Purple.
It must have been nerve-wracking the first day you got into a rehearsal room together.
No, it was sensational. Not everyone turned up at the same time. I was sitting there in the corner, in the darkness. We were in the basement of a house in Vermont, in Stowe, Vermont. And I was sitting in the corner reading a magazine, and Richie and Ian came in. And Richie was fiddling around, and Ian started checking the skins on his drums and everything else. And they checking out a few rhythms and things. And then Roger came down, and they started playing a few things, a few bluesy things and whatever. Then John came down, and there was the 5 of us for the first time in a musical situation. And everyone checked out their sounds and whatever. And suddenly Ian started just, playing this rhythm. And Roger started playing with him, and Richie picked up on the lick, and John, this wonderful Hammond organ sound came in. Oh, God, it was so exciting. And I was just sitting there, hiding behind my magazine, going, ooh, it's wonderful. It was so good. It was a thrill of... I'll never forget that moment.
And how long before the songs started to come together?
3 weeks of rehearsals. Lots of ideas, no words, no tunes. Just, we'd get an idea, a riff, a rhythm, chord sequence and whatever, and play it over and over for half an hour just to get the groove and get the feeling and everything else. And that we were satisfied with that. We left it and then we went away for 2 weeks and came back and recorded the album using those ideas.
Now, when you first got back together this time, I think a lot of people saw it as possibly a one-album deal that you just got back together to prove you could get back together. What actually is the situation now?
It's permanent. It was permanent. We decided through 2 or 3 meetings before we actually got into making the decision that if we're going to do it, it's going to be a permanent reformation, and that's it. And already now we have plans to record next year and another tour. We see no end to it. But this time there's going to be space and pace and a little consideration for everyone's individual requirements. We all have families now, and I mean, for example, I can only relate to, with my band, I was doing 200 shows a year and an album every year, sometimes 2. Now with Purple, it works out to around 100, 150 shows a year. And
it's room to breathe you're giving
one
yourself.
album. So, yeah, you work flat out for 9 months, and then you get 3 months off. You can recharge the batteries and everything else. We never had that in the past, ever.
You look like a very happy man now.
I'm happier than I've ever been in my whole life.
We got
Robert Palmer, Addicted to Love. Well, here we are in Stowe, Vermont. Instead of the studio in London, where I was supposed to be doing this show originally, we've been held up a little longer than expected with Deep Purple doing the album, and so I'm in a little room where I write all my words and sing all the bits and pieces. It's decorated quite nicely with memorabilia and potential album titles. I'll read a few of them to you later on. And being served coffee and all the other animal needs I have by a wonderful road crew to whom this song is dedicated. Motorhead, We Are the Road Crew. That was Motorhead, We Are the Road Crew. In fact, it was a request by John Draper for his brother's car called Lemmy. What I've done is asked some of the guys in the band to give me a list of their favourite songs to help me out on the choice of material here, so you get an overall selection of Deep Purple favourites here on the programme, together with requests and a session we have from Cannes, which we're going to get into later on. Now, one of the first songs I saw on my desk when I came in was a list left by Ian Pace, and I think it's very appropriate. We're going to play a song by Mountain, who were with us at Nebworth on quite a few of the European shows we did last summer. And this is Mississippi Queen. Leslie and Corky and the gang and Mississippi Queen. I always end up in stitches every time I see Leslie. He's a very, very funny man, a great guitar player. Well, I don't know much about this at all, apart from this guy's got a great, great voice. This is Jimmy Barnes and Boys Cry Out for War. Well, great voice that guy's got. Jimmy Barnes and Boys Cry Out for War. Well, this is Ian Gillan doing the Tommy Vance show, which I'm very proud to do. And we're in Stowe, Vermont, strangely enough, and we're completing a Deep Purple album. Well, during that record, a wild man, or the wild man of rock and roll, walked into my little room. Known to us as Rugged Ferocious, it's Roger Glover. Hello, Rog.
Hello.
You want to say hello to everyone?
Hello, everyone. Did you notice the sign outside the door, by the way?
It said, beware of the Rog.
Beware of Rog, yeah.
Great stuff. Well, I actually said great stuff. I don't believe it. Oh, no. Ah, no. Listen, thanks a lot. You left a list of... what are you doing? Going out to the pub or what?
Is this the pub?
No, but it can be.
Oh, no. Well,
It
I'm
can
on my
be.
way to the pub, yeah.
I'll fix you up with a cup of tea in a minute. In fact, I've got a bottle of wine down there somewhere. Thanks for this list of numbers. Which one do you want to play first of all? Dixie Chicken?
I got to play the oldest one.
The oldest
The
one.
oldest one there. And I think this is, if you ever asked me what my favourite track of all time was, it's got to be Good Golly Miss Molly by Little Richard, the original version on Speciality, and listen to the bass drum.
Exactly. Okay, Little Richard and Good Golly Miss Molly. I think that's probably going to be everyone's choice if they're going to have a list of songs from their all-time favourite rock and roll numbers.
Listen to that band.
I know.
mean, that band,
It's
in
unreal.
the 50s, they used to play like that.
I know, all the time.
All at the same time, same take.
It's normally in the same place.
Magic stuff.
I know, incredible.
I said magic. Oh, God.
What did they used to do?
What?
Play in the same place at the same
place.
time, all together. God, are you sure you haven't been down the pub already?
Yeah, well, yes, several times.
Okay. Anyway,
Next, I
Right.
want to play something a bit more current, if I may. Do you mind?
no,
I'd like to play the only other serious contender for guitarist of the year, of the world, that is, after Ritchie, of course,
yeah,
and that's Eddie Van Halen, who you either love him or you hate him. I think he's absolutely great.
fine chap.
I think the band are okay, but he's the ace in the hole.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a better example, because I'm not actually nuts about David Lee Roth, and I'm not actually nuts about Sammy Hagar, but I'm nuts about Eddie Van Halen, so
Yeah.
I'd like to play this anyway. Why Can't This Be Love?
The line. That's great. We can hear you much better. That's track me Phenomena 2. The line. That's great. We can hear you much better. That's track me Phenomena 2 project album featuring Glenn Hughes on vocals and featuring, hopefully on the telephone, Glenn Hughes.
Got it, Phil.
That's a better line. That's great.
back now.
We can hear you much better now.
I can hear you too.
Right, how did you get in? Let's just talk about the Phenomena Project. How did you get involved in that in the first place? Because it's a fairly major project, pulling people together to make that thing happen.
Well, I don't, if you're familiar at all with my past, I was with Trapeze, featuring Mel Galley and myself, and Mel's brother Tom Galley is the producer and the guy behind the Phenomena Project. Tom brought me in '84 to do the first album, which was on the Bron label, and Bron folded, went bankrupt, and that caused many problems for the first album. I think it's caused quite a few problems for this album too. I just want to state to all the kids listening out there that this album is out on a much better label and it's more marketable. I think you can get more of an idea of what the album and what I'm doing on this record. I just wished it was doing a little better. I think it needs to be promoted a little better.
What's the basic idea behind the Phenomena Project then, as you see it?
The basic idea
Yeah.
is to bring, well, it's basically one of these old things about this supergroup type stuff coming back together. I was brought in on this record to sing a couple of tracks. He wanted more vocalists, different vocalists on the album. I think John Wetton's on a track, and Ray Gillen's on a couple, and Max Bacon and myself. I think it's a good idea to bring as many different singers in as possible. I would have liked to have sang more tracks, but maybe on the next one I'll sing more. I think I'm on 3 songs on this album, I believe.
We're going to hear another one in a second. So what are you actually up to work-wise yourself at the moment?
Okay, right now I'm doing some stuff with a band called the Barbaloos in Georgia, which I'll bring in a single out in Europe in January, called I Don't Mind My Baby, which is going to be coming out sometime in January. That's what I'm doing at the moment. I would also like to do a solo album, which numerous companies are interested in doing at the moment, so I'm trying to put that together. But I would like to come home, spend some time in England. I haven't really spent much time at all in the last 15 years in England. And I'd like to come home and spend some time in London and whatever, and get back to some music over there. But I'd like to come home maybe in January to do that.
Great. Well, we had a letter from, when we said that we're going to be speaking to you tonight, we had a letter from a guy called Mike Smith, who lives not just just outside Liverpool, in Cheshire. And he wanted to know, if the Phenomena Project takes to the road in the UK, would you be joining them on tour?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm committed to this project. In fact, I'm committed to the next 3 Phenomena albums. Primarily, I think Tom wants me to be the lead voice anyway for all these projects. So I'm committed myself to do this, and we're real good friends, and of course Mel Galley is one of my oldest friends. So I will be coming to do, I'm doing all the promotion for Phenomena, I think, anyway, in a worldwide, so I'll be sort of traveling all over the world doing all this stuff. I'm committing myself to do this, and I'm enjoying it very much.
Just on a purely personal note, one of the best things that I thought you did in recent years was the combination of yourself and Pat Thrall.
Well, thank you. That is something, Phil, I would like to get together. In fact, Pat and I spoke about this. We did something with Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks for a movie coming out in England called Dragnet, which we did in April of this year. And we talked about doing Hughes Thrall #2, which I think we're going to start doing next spring.
Well,
I'd like to do that very much.
that is something I would definitely look forward to. Terrific.
Everyone seems to be in the same mind as you on that one. I'd love to do something again with Pat. There's talk about it, and as soon as he finishes his gig with Little Steven, I think that could be on the cards.
How did you get to be approached by Tony Iommi then to do the stuff that you did with him?
Well, Tony's another old friend. We're from the Birmingham area, and we used to run into each other when I was in Deep Purple, and we did some shows together in California when he was in Black Sabbath. And he asked me to do primarily it was his solo album he was going to do. And then it became more of a band project when I joined, and Don Arden, who was then the manager, asked if we wouldn't mind calling the band Black Sabbath. To me, I didn't think it was a good idea because it was totally, I think the music on the album I did with Tony was far removed from what Black Sabbath was. It wasn't so much, doom and metal, it was more of a melodic record, I think. So I think it was a bad move calling it Black Sabbath. I enjoyed working with Tony very much. He's a very nice chap.
Well,
that's all I can say about it.
There were, some not very nice things being thrown around about you from...
I've had these rumours going around, and it's really annoying me because I lost my voice. Primary, something happened on the tour. I don't really want to talk about it, but I lost my voice. And there's been all sorts of rumours going around about, things I don't really like to talk about, which basically has got me a reputation, and it's really annoying me because I've never been in better health ever.
Well, I'd say a fine chance for you to put the record straight live on the radio now.
Exactly.
You're sounding good to me.
I feel fine. I feel great.
So basically, then, just to recap over that, we should be seeing you in one way or another in the UK
In the
new year. Hopefully, there may well be a combination of you and Pat Thrall together again, which would be brilliant.
Yeah,
And
that'd be fantastic.
and if the Phenomena project takes off in the right direction, then you'll be coming over and bringing that with you as well.
No question about it.
And how are you spending Christmas then? Where's that going to be? There in...
I'll spend Christmas. Well, I want to come back to spend it with Mum and my Dad. But so far, I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I just spoke to my mother right before you called me up. Actually, they want me to come home for Christmas. I don't like that very much. It all depends what I'm going to be doing, promoting this, where I'm going to be in it, whatever.
Well, I'll tell you what, Glenn.
I could possibly be in Europe. It would be nice, yes.
It would be nice. And what would be nice also would be to speak to you other than over the telephone. I know the technology...
That would be my pleasure, Phil. That would be my pleasure.
Technology is marvellous, but there's nothing better than doing it face-to-face because the line is not the best I've ever heard in the world.
I understand this. I understand.
Glenn, thanks for talking to us tonight, and we wish you luck with the rest of the Phenomena project and anything else you've got planned.
Hi to everyone out there listening, and I miss everybody. I'd like to get back home and see everybody soon.
We'll be waiting for you, Glenn.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks very much indeed. Goodbye for now.
God bless. Okay, bye-bye.
Hello, Glenn.
Hi, Phil.
Hiya. We got there in the end. We've had a few problems at this end trying to make contact.
How you doing?
How are you? We're fine. Whereabouts in the States are you then?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. That's what I've moved to now.
Ah, right, because I'm not totally au fait with my US area codes.
Okay, it's on the southeast coast down there, you know.
Right. So, the primary reason we've called is to talk about the Phenomena project, but it does seem that in one way and another, Glenn, over the years, you have been pretty much in the headlines and not always for the best possible reasons.
Correct. some strokes of bad luck, I guess.
Yeah. Where do you feel you're at now with your career? Do you think you've got to a situation where things are starting to get more stable?
Well, after a while, when you don't work for a while, you kind of get... It came to a point where I was doing absolutely nothing. After the Black Sabbath thing, I just took some time off, and I wanted to get back to a point where I could work properly in the right circumstances. So here I am doing the Phenomena project, which is the second album I've done for Phenomena. In Europe, it's doing very, very well. I think just need to get some promotion in England. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm hoping to come back to England in January to do some full-scale promotion for it after the holiday.
I'll tell you what, Glenn, this is absolutely unbelievable. We must have the worst possible connection between Liverpool and Atlanta because the line is breaking up very badly. If it's okay with you, I think we'll call you back in a couple of minutes.
Please do, Phil.
Okay, Glenn, sorry about this. We'll call you back in a couple of minutes.
No problem. I'll be here.
Well, that was the Pretenders with Chain Gang. This is Ian Gillan, standing in for Tommy Vance, who's away on holiday. And we are, of course, on the BBC, and luckily...